hits. What a car. Oh. Oh my God. Oh. What's good, fam? Welcome back to Unlockable Character. We are at racetrack. Getting a sunset drive back to Atlanta, and we got plenty to talk about. So a few months back, I think, you know, like 6 months into having my channel, I started making videos about investing, geopolitics, like what's going on in the world, just real talk about like what's actually happening, right? And I said we need to look out for a conflict that emerges as a global conflict because of multiple factions all fighting each other. So some of the factions I mentioned were, you know, Israel and Iran, which, by the way, Iran decided to go ahead and basically fire 200 rockets at Israel, including ballistic missiles. And so that's basically a declaration of war. So apart from that, I also said, you know, Ukraine and Russia, and then China and Taiwan. So China is currently skirmishing with the Philippines in the South China Sea. And they're skirmishing over basically rights to the waterways around islands in that part of the world. And China is making artificial islands and then claiming that they have the right to the water around those artificial islands by filling them in with landfill and then building military bases on top of it. So the Philippines, of all nations, has been getting really bullied by China in that area, where you have Philippine ships with civilians on board, right? They don't have anything more than maybe like a baton. And then you have Chinese warships, like from the Chinese Navy, the military, brushing in and sometimes even damaging the Philippine civilian ships. It's honestly insane, the more I think about it. So that's happening right now, and the Philippines is a true ally of the United States, and so, you know, that's something that could escalate. Meanwhile, the Iran and Israel situation, or Iran I should say, has escalated, and Israel is going to decisively, you know, make a counterattack. And all this does is increase more and more instability into a region, the Middle East, which has been, you know, for the past year, 2 years, steadily increasing in instability. So it's looking like a global conflict is just inevitable in the next 3 years, unfortunately for me to say. So Taiwan is going to face a looming threat of China, I think 2027 to 2030. Unless the war with Ukraine and Russia is resolved by 2027, I think it could get worse, not better. And what that means is other states like Belarus getting involved. And really, Russia using forms of weaponry that would kill a lot of Ukrainian soldiers and civilians. And we're talking past the level of war crimes, because they've already been using biological and chemical weapons, but on a massive scale. That's what I mean. So that would truly be horrific, and it could actually escalate to nuclear war, and that would be insane. So a lot of things to look at, guys, in the world. The US has an election coming up. There's going to be an interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve, which means that the interest rates on most loans, like houses and cars, that will go down. And essentially, they're trying to prevent the economy from going into recession, because hopefully people will then go and get the car that they were trying to get, but the interest rate was too high, because now the interest rate will be lower. Buy the house, because they were waiting for the interest rates to come down on the mortgages. So if that spurs the economy, that's going to be really good for the US. I think that we will have like a year or two of economic recovery in the United States, regardless of who's president. And what that will lead to is a belief that, you know, everything is okay. So we're getting to like 2025, 2026. But I think the reality of the situation is that the conflicts that we talked about, which is Iran, Israel, China, Taiwan, and Russia, and Ukraine, will continue to get worse. So while the things in the US might get a little bit better, or somewhat better, the things around the world will continue to deteriorate. And I think while that's happening, what you're going to see is a acceleration of artificial intelligence technology, and I think a new moment for Americans to reconsider the tax structure of the United States, because what you're facing is essentially a labor force that's, I would say, 30 to 40% replaceable by AI and robotics within 10 years. That tax base will need to be rethought in the United States. How are we going to actually tax the AI and the physical robots as well, if they're going to be taking up so much of this labor? Because without that income tax, the United States has social services, you know, like Social Security. That could actually go bankrupt if there's not enough people in the labor force working and generating income tax. While that's happening, right, while the US has to think about these things, there could be a further escalation of global conflict, which brings the United States into a world war. And then what happens, right? Does it become a wartime economy where suddenly we have 90% income taxes for the highest or the wealthiest, highest income earners, as it was previously, you know, for the Great World Wars? It's such a strange time. I think the next 4 years, it's going to be such a strange time. And a lot of things that people are going to have to rethink. Jimmy Carter just turned 100 years old, and it's incredible. He's a former president of the US, and allegedly he was, you know, read into the UFO and non-human intelligence programs that run in the US government, and apparently he just broke down in tears. So, you know, there's also a looming imminent, you know, to use that guy Elizondo's book title, there's an imminent I think acceleration of public disclosure around the non-human intelligence topic. And there may be some breakthroughs in technology from reverse engineering that coincide with artificial intelligence accelerating in terms of technology. And I think that we're on the cusp of such extraordinary times for how modern society will have to be revolutionized. Yet to be seen what that looks like, but so many things are coming to a head at the same time that the 2030s are just going to be absolutely, I think, astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. Put the car in rear-wheel drive, sports settings, and get a little bit of burble out the window while we downshift. And let's talk about a few more things, guys. I saw a comment about how do you distinguish love from lust. And what I would tell you is what love really feels like is safety and freedom at the same time. Lust will feel like a battle with your nervous system, where you're either afraid or you're so excited that you're not actually able to think from a place of balance. And love will balance you, especially a love that lasts. Lust will throw you off balance. So really think about those things. I was just seeing that car come to the middle lane all of a sudden. There might have been a lot of slower cars in that right lane, and that person may not have been paying attention. But anyway, guys, lust will throw you off in a way where you might have a routine and you want to go to the gym, and lust will basically steer you away from the gym. And there's two ways to look at that, right? Is the lust for a passion where you're building something, or is it a lust for a person? If it's a lust for a person, you should avoid it. But if it's a lust for a passion where you're building something, follow it. Because sometimes when you're building, and this goes away from relationships into more about focusing on building something in your life. If you're passionate about something and an opportunity arrives and you have to break your schedule, go for it. I'm not talking about a person here. I'm talking about a thing that you can build for. For example, I was actually on the way to the gym when my friend Joe called me up. He says, yo, I'm going to Taco Tuesday with Eurofed with my 911 Turbo S on gold BBSs, you know what I'm saying? And I had been talking to Joe about, you know, maybe going out for a drive with his car, talking to him about the car. And now here's an opportunity to go and drive the car, see him, and just have a great time, right? So I was on the way to the gym when he called me, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go and do this. And I had the time of my life just driving that car. It was spitting flames. Joe didn't, like, he had never even seen those flames from the outside. I didn't even know it was spitting flames until they told me that when I went by, you know, the meet and downshifted, it was actually spitting flames, the Porsche Turbo S. So that was me following my passion. And yeah, I lusted after the opportunity to drive that car, get footage of that car. But it was a good thing overall for me. That really was following my heart. I was not drawn to a girl, for example, in a way that threw off my schedule. That is actually poisonous. And I'm telling you, when you're passionate about something that you're building on, your life is not always going to be balanced. So you're not always going to be able to maintain that schedule or that routine. And coming to terms with that is actually really hard. Being able to tell yourself that it's okay that you didn't, you know, get to the gym, eat properly, you know, get that 8 hours of sleep, because you're not letting yourself down. You're still building something, you know what I mean? And not everything is going to be in balance all the time. And you'll find that as you get older, how you approach, you know, feeling personally about those imbalances will tell you a lot about yourself. If you're always going to be bitter, frustrated, you know, almost paralyzed by tension and anxiety when your routine goes out the window, I would say lighten up, you know, because when you're older, no one's going to want to be around you. You really want to lighten up and just embrace that things will not always go to plan and kind of dance with it, enjoy it, have humor about it, laugh about it. Don't take it too seriously, you know? Because you, at the end of the day, most likely have your shit together. And if you don't, there's little things you can do to get your shit together, but your schedule doesn't always have to be perfect, you know what I mean? And I guess that's one thing, and it could be a lot of other little things too. Like, if you're, you know, looking forward to a vitamin or a supplement you take and you ran out and you didn't reorder them, you know, that shouldn't throw your whole day out the window. You know what I'm saying? So just think about that, guys. Once you flip the script and change the way you think about something, you can completely, I would say, reshift or kind of move your energy from negative to positive in a way that you didn't know was possible before, just because you started thinking about it differently. And is that a Chrysler or is that a Volkswagen? It looks so low to the ground. It looks mean. Shit looks crazy. It's a classic car. That looked insane, guys. I don't know if you'd be able to see. It's so dark out. As you can tell, 400 here doesn't have any street lights, city lights, whatever you want to call it, lamps. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that hits. go to all-wheel drive, guys. right on the windshield, guys. Or it could be water. Let's see. No, it's definitely like a bird poop. Is that, guys? That was crazy. So many different lights out. That truck was crazy though. Cars on the side of the road today. Ooh, it's a nice pop. I did further tweak the XHP settings today, guys. We're in fourth. Let me show you fourth to fifth. People just stopped, forgot how to drive all of a sudden. No lights on in front of me in the left lane. All right, this is third to fourth. Oh my, can you just like, guys, I wish you could feel that. Like, I can't even, oh, insane. Sounds wicked in here. Oh. of cars on the side of the road. Oh. Oh my God. What a car. What a car. So most of that was four-wheel drive. Drop it into rear-wheel drive now, guys. This is where the burbles are at. These two dickheads having a dumbass measuring contest, you know what I mean? You know, there are certain people who shouldn't be on the road, and it might be an elderly person in this car, I'm not sure, just by the look of it. But you figure, you know what I mean? What a car. Oh. Oh my God. Oh. Is that an M2 or M240, guys? It's embarrassing. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. That was sick. And I hope you enjoyed the talk in the beginning too. Lots of things in the world to keep aware of, guys. Alright, let's go.